There is one trait that separates the best salesman from the pack.
Persuasion.
Really? Aren't salesmen naturally supposed to be persuasive?
Well, the truth is that persuasion takes more than meets the eye.
For example, your argument might be persuasive.
But what if deep down the buyer doesn't even trust you?
That's a problem.
This week's book offers a solution that takes the mystery out of persuasion.
It's called straight line selling.
It starts with nailing that first 4 seconds of your meeting.
Building trust and gathering intelligence.
And gaining certainty from each objection.
It's time for Jordan Belfort's book, Way of the Wolf, Straight Line Selling, Mastering the Art of Persuasion, Influence, and Success. Welcome back. You're listening to Motivation Minute, where we unravel the timeless truths in that stack of books you've been wanting to read so that you don't have to. And this week's book is called Way of the Wolf, also Straight Line Selling, and also Mastering the Art of Persuasion, Influence, and Success. I don't think Jordan Belfort could pick the title. So page 3. But for this episode, we have a special guest joining us. Jiraiya, how about you introduce him?
Yeah, we've got actually a really good guest, a friend of mine, but I haven't seen him in years, so it's really a pleasure to have him on the show today. So welcome, David.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So this is David Foote. He's a bodybuilder, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I remember you from when you guys lived in Montana. You just lived like a half a mile from our house, and you were pretty young back then. Wasn't it like, it was a long time ago when you moved, and you were a really little skinny kid. I remember that. You were a little kid, really skinny. I would never have suspected that you were going to be a bodybuilder, but it's crazy. Like you guys should check out his Instagram. But it's like you've really gained a lot of weight, of muscle, and how have you done that?
Well, it's probably about almost 100 pounds of muscle since you've seen me.
Whoa!
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I think like when I was living there, I was like 80 pounds, and now I'm about 180. So about 100 pounds.
Dang.
And mostly muscle. That's crazy.
I mean,
Yeah.
Puberty and stuff plays a little role in there. But
Right. Right.
the key to, building muscle, bodybuilding, and almost everything in life is just consistency. If you want to build a habit, you have to be consistent the first week or two, to get that habit in. That first week might be the hardest just because your old habits are trying to, come back to you and trying to tell you, let's go back to the old way of life of sedentary living, not pushing yourself to be better. And, that it's pretty tough. So once you break past that, you're going to start liking it because you're going to start seeing results in your body.
That's so true. I've been pretty consistent in my business the last 3 or 4 years, and I've seen the results from that. But I've tried working out, and I've never been able to stay consistent for more than a few months. And it was something that I thought was really important to me. I want to work out, I want to get lean and eat healthy, and I was never able to be consistent. I mean, it's something that's really hard for people to do, but you've been able to be very consistent, and because I've seen your posts for the last multiple years, every day it seems, or whatever. You're working out. Like, you've just been so consistent, and it's shown the results that you've gotten from that, and it's pretty incredible.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And you think about sales. A lot of people try to be good at sales, but they're not consistent about it. And the problem is they're not using a good system.
Yeah.
Which is what this book is about, called the Straight Line System. There's this great quote in the book which said, "Selling is everything in life. You're either selling or you're failing."
That's right. That's right.
Which that is such a stark, statement to put out there. Like, your number one asset in life is persuading people.
I mean, yeah, because it goes along so well with so many things. Like, if you want a job, you're going to have to sell yourself to the employer, because if you're not showing your true value, then you're not going to get that job.
Right.
Yeah, and people think it sounds salesy, or everybody hates the typical salesperson, because most salespeople come across as cheesy and as salesy, and they're trying to they make you uncomfortable
Or mechanical.
But like the true salesmen are people that you don't even really know are selling to you, or they make you feel good, and so you want to buy something. So you're not like that's the trick, I think. And you have a pretty good following on social media, so like that's kind of like the direction you're going, is being an influencer, right? And kind of like persuading people or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, how have you been able to do that?
I mean, you just have to put in the work, and if you can show your value to different companies, and basically, being an influencer is kind of persuading people to buy a product that you're promoting, that you're influencing them to do that. You're not really paid for your time, you're paid for your value. So your value goes along with,
Mm,
the number of genuine following that you have, or the
right.
number of just active people that love what you do and see you as motivation. And so they're going to kind of follow you.
That's cool. So when you think about like getting followers, and you were talking about the trust of the kind of follower you have, one of the things that makes good salespeople is when they can identify a pain in someone. This book was talking about, because if you can jump off someone's pain, you can sell just about anyone on just about anything. If you can figure out how to give them a solution to that.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking with like the world of bodybuilding, the pain people might feel is the process of getting to have like a ripped body.
Yeah.
Like the pain to get there, and being an influencer, if you can show them every day the grind you're going through to become that, that's kind of a way you can demonstrate it. Like, how does it work in your bodybuilding world?
So, I mean, what you do with, posting and all that is kind of showing that it's possible to do what you do. It's not like they can't do it, or even showing like transformation photos and stuff like that. It's kind of showing that anybody can start anywhere. It just takes that first step, takes that consistency.
It seems overwhelming, and so there's a lot of pain, and that's actually really good in some ways. I mean, a good industry to be in, because you can really show the pain of people who are unhealthy, overweight, and they really wanna lose weight or whatever. And in some ways, you do it ethically, but you almost you don't want to like take advantage of people's insecurities, which is sometimes what the fitness industry does, I think. But you do have to show the pain, like the facts.
So I was actually a salesman for a while, about 8
Really?
months in the gym. So I was selling memberships and personal training in that gym. And that was one thing that they drilled was finding that person's pain. Why are they coming to you? Why are they going to the gym? Is it because they feel out of shape? Is it because they want more energy, etc.? So you have to talk to them, find their pain point, and see how you can use that to let them know they do need a trainer, or what they've been doing for a diet isn't working. That's why they're here. And so,
because until they figure out that's their pain point, they may not want to, jump for your product you're offering.
Yeah, because they
have to know it's solving their problem.
Yeah, even though it's clear that they need it, they sometimes procrastinate and they want to make excuses. Yeah. So sometimes you have to put it out there.
Mm-hmm. You've been doing like on the side, making some money through your fitness that you're trying to develop, like helping people with the diet and stuff. Like what has worked the best for you as far as how do you contact people? Have you done like cold calling or contacting people who need help, or like have you been able to apply some of the things in the book already since you've read it?
So I've been able to develop a little bit of like a training plan, and I kind of maybe find people that maybe look like they're new to the gym and they'd be wanting help, because if somebody doesn't want help, you can't help them. But cold calling wouldn't really work very well for that, just because you can't really see that person, and you can't really, it's just like somebody's more than likely just going to hang up on you if you're to cold call them.
So you want to know, is this person, someone who needs help?
Yeah.
And you have to kind of see them and talk to them. Yeah, like it said, you can't sell a pen to someone who doesn't need it, right? Or you have to be targeting the right kind of audience, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just looking for that need of the people and filling it, because you can't. Why would somebody buy a pen if they have a pen in their pocket, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's why looking for the pain it's the smartest thing to do, but it's also ethical and fair because you're actually just solving a problem.
Exactly.
And you're just good at finding their problem. That's what if you become a good salesman, you just become good at helping people essentially. And it's not easy. It's not because you're having to sell them a product that will actually help them, and then you have to find their pain, and you have to figure out ways to like agitate their pain, kind of. And you have to use all these different methods to get there. And it seems like, oh, you're just like, this is a sleazy salesy because you're using a method. But I would say it's not. It's just becoming good at helping people essentially. And I think it's like sales. Yeah, and so by selling things, you're not ripping people off. You're actually helping them.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'd say out of the whole book, my number one takeaway was to be confident in how you pitch ideas. And also this point of emphasizing the pain, because I actually had this happen today. I was trying to sell an idea to someone, and it was a process improvement idea at work. And it was a way to like get rid of a whole procedure that takes, hours to run and reduce it to like 45 minutes. And the person that I was selling this to was, not really interested at first as I was telling them, hey, I have this idea that could improve our whole procedure and stuff, until I brought up that it would solve the biggest pain point to the procedure, that like there were these spots you have to manually edit files, and I automatically scripted it so that the files got edited for the person. They're like, ooh, that would be cool. And all these other things. And as a software engineer, that's my thing, trying to automate processes. And they weren't interested in me hacking the system to make it faster. They were interested in me solving their pain.
Yeah.
Because they don't care about my hack.
Right.
People don't care about the features. They care about the results or the benefits. And that's what talked about.
Right.
Always talk about how it's actually going to help them. Like you got to talk about you know more about this, David, but you want to talk about the end result, like not just the process of getting there, like, right?
Yeah. So when I was selling training plans in the gym, my greatest sales were because I could show them what need it's going to fill and how this person's going to help them get to their end goal, and what it's going to look like when they do get to their end goal. I would push their mental state to think ahead of time, where they're thinking, oh, when I look like this, when I feel like this, that way it gets their mentality into this is possible, I'm going to get there. And it actually kind of opens them up instead of closing them off to that sale.
Yeah, that's the best time for them to buy, because they feel so positive about the potential.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can get their mind in the right place.
Would you say like when you're selling to somebody like in fitness or anything, but like it's all about making them feel good? Like how will they feel when they have, I know it's been like that for me. Like how will I feel like being jacked? Like if I was as ripped as David, like, man, I'd be a beast. Like I'd feel awesome. So it's like, that's the motivation, not like, oh, you do these workouts and you do crunches and you do whatever, I don't even know the workouts, but like, or first you talk about the method later and all the features of your program, or like, but first you talk about how good it makes you feel, kind of, right?
Well, yeah, that's going to turn them off if they hear all the features first.
It'll turn them off if you say that you have to put 13, 15 hours a week into the gym.
Yes, that would turn them off.
They're going to say, well, I don't even know if I can do that. Also, I wouldn't say it's all about making them feel good, because if they feel good, they're not gonna do it, because they're too much in a positive state of, well, I could probably do this on my own. You have to give them the reality of their health. As strange as this sounds, it's kind of like reeling in a fish in a way, just because when you reel in a fish, you give it a little loose, you a little slack, and then you pull it. It's kind of like you have to give them a little bit of reality and then pull them in with how are you going to feel after you lose 30 pounds, and then, give them a little slack, give them some reality, and then pull, give them how they're going to feel when they reach, more mobility. Some older people come in saying they barely can walk. They obviously won't be able to do all this gym equipment or know how to use it, so they're going to need a personal trainer to help them out and give them that first push.
So too much reality up front, you just won't do it. Too much goal up front, that seems positive, you don't realize the reality. So you have to like have a healthy dose of both.
50-50 probably. Yeah.
So that you can stay on track. Yeah. That's interesting. You brought up this like concept of the trust. Also that the book talked about being the 3-10 certainty principle, which was that, you know, they're trusting in your product, your idea, your concept. They're trusting in you, and they're trusting in your company behind you. So there's 3 categories there. And you're trying to get them on a scale from 1 to 10 to a 10 on all 3 of those.
Yes.
To make the sale. The problem is there's setbacks when they give the first objection to your plan. What are the common objections you've heard, you know, at the gym or when you're with bodybuilding that don't, you know, that you're like, have a good comeback for?
So most people, you know, when they're about to do it, they'll say they don't have enough time, which, you know, it's pretty easy to overcome that objection. They might say they have to check with their spouse, which just means they want to go home and kind of forget about it and say, I'm going to be just fine not going and starting up, you know. Or they'll say they don't have enough money, or it's too expensive, which that one's a little tougher to come around just because it's their own finances. You can't really get into that as in depth. But there's still ways around it. You know, they usually, if they say like it's too expensive and it's $150 for the training session or for this plan, say, hey, look, stop eating out, stop spending $10 a meal 2 times a day. That's what, 7 times 2, you know, 14. That's $140, you know, $10 a meal, $140 a week that you're spending. You could, in 1 week, you could buy this training plan.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's just ways to go around that. They're going to see, oh, I'm spending too much money on junk. Oh, I'm spending too much money going to the club and spending $20 a drink, you know. So there's just ways to go around that as well.
That's cool.
Nice. Yeah. What's your number 1 takeaway, David, of the book?
Probably just presenting yourself in the right way. Because that, even though everybody says don't judge a book by its cover, what do? They judge a book by its cover, right?
Yeah,
so,
this is true. I judged this book by 3 titles. You know, I wondered if he could even make up his mind.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that appearance part, giving them the first good impression on yourself, and just, you know, all out, just being trustworthy. Don't seem sketchy or shady or anything. Most people think of a bodybuilder and they're thinking this cocky, this, you know, douchey kind of guy, you know, walking around the gym and all that. But, you know, you can have your own character. You can have that good person in you still. And, you know, and main thing is just being humble. You know, you can't keep your neck over everybody else. You know, you got to.
Wait, so you're just a normal person? Like, you, even though you're a bodybuilder? Like, I'm just kidding. There is that stereotype, of like people who lift are just, you know, gym rats or whatever. But
yeah, most people actually think of that as me when they first see me in the gym, you know, until they come up to talk to me or ask me for advice. And I'm like, hey, what's up, man? You know, like, yeah, for sure. If you want to, you know, gain some muscle, just do this and this and this. They're like, whoa, I thought you were just going to like tell me to go away and put back in your earbuds, you know. it kind of changes their perspective a little bit when they see the character in somebody like that.
You know, that's true. Being genuine is critical, because if you're not, you can come across scripty, which is how a lot of sales comes across. But there's a fine line. You need to have some kind of structure so you stay organized, but then you don't want to come across too scripted.
Like, that's my number 1 takeaway too, kind of, is it said that like when you're using like a script to sell, like cold calling, you need to be able to say it like it's not a script, and you need to be able to, you know, practice speaking like it's like you're just talking to a person, like just talking to a friend. I get all these calls like almost every day from telemarketers or people trying to sell me things, and it's so fake. You know, they call and they're just like this. You can tell it's like a scripted voice, and even if and sometimes it's a recording, but even if it's not a recording, the people talk like they're reading like they're a recording. Yeah. Like they're like, "Oh, hi, Jiraiya, I have a perfect product for you today. Click here to buy now." And I'm like, and they're a real person saying that. It's just so.
Yeah. And think of the percentage of people that just hang up on that. Probably 99%. You know. Right.
So it's kind of like structure over script.
Now,
like where the script is memorized into a structure.
One thing, so like that was one of the problems that we had when I worked at the gym, is that some of the other sales advisors were like, I don't like this script because it sounds too salesy, it's too scripty, right?
Uh-huh.
And in the book, sometimes a script is needed because sometimes a script has rules and helps you overcome their objections, etc. And even the greatest movies ever played were scripted, right? I mean, they're not they're not
Right.
going to be able to just go off like
Yeah.
how they feel. They're going to have that script.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, David, for coming on the show with us today to talk about Way of the Wolf. This was a very fun discussion.
Of course, it was actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I appreciate your invite.
Yeah, and also be sure to check out David on Instagram. He's David Foote, FOOTE_fitness. Also his YouTube channel called David Foote. Also, thank you for listening. And if you haven't already, make sure you tap subscribe, because we feature a book like this every single week and you don't want to miss any of the action. Also, if you can leave a review, that is a huge help for us, because it enables other people like you to find the show by elevating us in the rankings. So that would be a huge help if you can do that. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.